Hey guys, I'll be honest here, I don't really want to film today's video, but I'm here. Also, Jared's doing a little bit of like construction. That's maybe too extreme. He's doing a little bit of handiwork, so there might be some random like tool noises, a saw. I'll try to edit it out if I can. Anyway, I wanted to come on and share a bit of an update for you. We last week had our big foster care meeting that I've been asking you guys to pray for, so I feel like I need to update, share, thank you for your prayers. Unfortunately, I don't really want to I'm frustrated. So okay, I'll give a little bit of background and then I'll explain what's going on and where I want to go from there in between all these sawing noises. Also, I got a new tripod like a little while ago and I always feel like it's crooked and I'm very confused. Maybe if we just turn it at a bit of an angle, it looks like it's supposed to be like that. Okay, so I'm gonna give like a very brief history of our foster care journey. I want to share our journey with you guys, but want to like protect the kids in our care. So I don't really want to like share their story so much. I just want to share our story. It's like when I shared our adoption story, I didn't share Ephraim's story. I just shared our journey to him. And unfortunately, like there's a little bit of overlap with fostering. So very quickly, 4 years ago, the oldest foster kid we have right now, we call him R2D2 online. He came into our care. 3 years ago, his biological sister, who we call BB8, came into our care. And in the last 4 and 3 years, they have been mostly in our care. They've been in our care more than with anyone else, but there's been a few periods where social services, the ministry, has tried to place them with family. And then that kind of always falls through and they come back into our care. They came back into our care this last time in May of last year, and we told them that, like when they were asking to put them back in our home, we told them that we plan on moving this year, so they were aware when they placed the kids in our home that we were going to be moving out of province later this spring. So they were aware, but their thought was they would go back with family relatively quickly, hence why we put R2D2 in school instead of homeschooling him, and BB8 has been in daycare because I wanted those routines to be there already, since that's what their routine would be like with family. But here we are 9 months later and they are still with us, and we've been having these big meetings trying to figure out what's going on. Like, we're moving out of province, so that's a big deal. We can't even go for a visit out of the province without written permission. So obviously moving out of the province is a different thing. So we've been having these big meetings, and then last week was another big one. I thought this was like the one. It turns out it's not. It turns out I'm very frustrated. Thankfully, I've had a few days for it to settle, so I'm not gonna like cry on camera, but I am so frustrated. So pretty much the end results from the meeting are that they are able to move out of the province with us, but our request had been that they have like a long-term plan in mind. Like, these kids have been in and out of care for 4 and 3 years, like most of their lives, and they've instead decided that they're gonna sign a short-term court order, which means like 4-ish months the family has to like get their act together and try to get them back again. So in theory we could move and then a couple months later they could leave. And like a year ago we decided to quit fostering because we knew we were going to move. And it's also like, it's so hard to live with that instability for so long. We have to think of our other children and ourselves, and it's really hard to always be like this and not know what's going on. Not that any of us really have control over our lives, but like this is like a whole another element. Like I know that God is in control whether or not my life is stable or whether or not social services is involved, but I would like a little bit more stability. So I think that social services has kind of just called our bluff, because honestly we're not going to be like, oh, you didn't say long term, so we're not going to take them. Like, we're still going to take them with us, but now we have that like that instability just continuing, and we try to like treat them like they are our children, but it is hard when you're constantly being reminded that they're not your children. Like, it's when we adopted Ephraim, there was never this this unrest that there is with fostering. Like, it was like, okay, he's ours, bam. And this is just constantly like, not intentionally, but like subconsciously trying to guard your heart and be like, I can't get too attached, which you totally do get too attached, but like trying to put up a little bit of a barrier so that when they go, you're not a complete wreck. I'm still a complete wreck every time they've gone, and will continue to be every time. But it would be so nice, even though long-term planning does not necessarily mean permanent. The Saskatchewan government does not do permanency, but it would feel more permanent, and I think that would help that little barrier that's still there to come down. So that's an update. Still would love your prayers. Yeah, I don't know where life's gonna go. And then like there's some of the logistics sides of things. So like we needed to know how many kids we were gonna have to figure out how big of a house to buy. And like, yeah, we could just buy a bigger house, and then if they go, we have a bigger house. But then there is a little bit of money that comes in with fostering, and then if they go, we don't have that money, so that money would be helping to pay for this bigger house. And like, it's not just as easy as like, oh, if they go, we'll figure out how to live, like how to cope mentally. It's also like the financial aspect of things. Yeah, so you can be praying for all sorts of things in regards to this. Like, this journey has been so long, and I don't like being a dramatic person. When I was in high school, I was sick quite a bit with chest infections, which I now know I think is because my immune system was low because I had Crohn's, but I wasn't diagnosed. And I had a friend that accused me of being dramatic and not being as sick as I actually was, but just trying to do it for attention. And so like, and I honestly, like, that's how I feel with this. Like, people must think, oh, I'm just doing it for attention, because I'm a little scarred from that, I think. But I would rather just live like a normal life and have it be less dramatic. Like, that's what I would prefer. But we don't want to give up on these kids, so this is where we're at. I guess dramatic life is what it is. So going forward, I've been thinking about this, like about life in general. When you move, lots of things change, right? Like routines and like everything, especially moving to a different province, lots of stuff is going to change. And so I've been thinking about like, what changes do I want to make? And knowing that we will at least have 2 other kids for a while to begin with, we will be homeschooling, I think, and stuff. So like, they'll be with us all the time. And one of the biggest changes I think I want to make, and this is maybe slightly influenced by a book that I'm reading right now and YouTube in general, but like YouTube never really made me feel this desire to do this until I read this book. And that is more of the idea of romanticizing my life. And I think a person can take this too far, and it can be not a good thing. But I think I need to, and one of my goals for this last year of my birth is to be a beauty maker, and I don't think I've done that well. And I think that's kind of what I mean by romanticizing my life. It's like there's so much background noise, I'm sorry, but it's seeing the beauty that is around me, making beauty in my home by like decorating or doing different things. And that's really something I want to focus on more. I don't know if that's going to change stuff on this channel, but I think it might change a few things on my book channel. This one, like I've always said, it's just it's a random assortment of things. If I feel like making a video kind of like that, I might. But it's the whole idea of just living present enjoying what's around me, making things more beautiful, seeing the beauty that does exist. And I think a person can do this in every stage of your life, but now I'm thinking, okay, this is what our family is going to look like for the foreseeable future. How can I romanticize / embrace / just make it the best life possible? I feel like we've been fostering for 4.5 years. I feel like the last 4.5 years have been just kind of like buckle down. We're in a season, we're gonna survive, but a person can't live like that for long term. There are seasons where that happens and a person does just need to get through, put your head down and just get through. But I think there's a point where it's like, okay, it's been long enough. And that's how I'm feeling. And so now I want to stop living that way and live present, see the beauty, create the beauty. And yeah, so that's a roundup of where things are at. Thanks again for all your prayers before, continued prayers. I really appreciate it. Hopefully one of these days this dramatic journey will be a little bit more stable. Although there's always something, right? There's always something. But thanks so much for hanging out with me, listening to our journey, praying for us. I really appreciate it.